Hello and welcome to the Monday Agenda. As you may recall, Tanzania has been one of the countries in Africa that has been receiving refugees way back in the 70s or probably earlier than that. But again, with me in the studio is the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees representative in Tanzania, Ms.Mahoua Parums. Very welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming on such a special day.
Thank you very much.
To start, before we get into the nitty-gritties on the World Refugee Day, I understand that you've just, arrived in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And how would you describe your stay so far in Tanzania?
I came from Uganda, where I spent 3 years.
Okay.
And as you know, in Africa today, Uganda has the biggest operation.
Okay.
We have 1.5 million refugees in Uganda. And this was a very good opportunity to learn about refugee upkeeping and, of course, coming here. It's a little bit a change because we have smaller numbers.
Okay.
But it is a great country to be in Tanzania.
All right.
I come from Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast.
And Ivory Coast, in the capital, you have the sea, you have the beach, like you have here in Dar es Salaam. So somehow I feel at home because I'm used to the weather. I'm used to see people enjoying their weekends, having their families around, and really, so far so good.
Okay.
I was very, very well treated by Tanzania.
Okay. And prior to Uganda, which other operations were you in, or Uganda was?
I think that will take a little bit of time if I have to tell you all the stories. But I was in Burkina Faso, in West Africa.
Okay.
I was in Geneva, working in the ethics and investigation units. I was in Senegal. Okay. I was in Libreville, Gabon, as a representative as well. Okay. And I also worked in Eastern Europe. Okay.
The World Refugee Day. Why is it? Why do we commemorate? Why is it that the world should, observe the 20th of June today as the World Refugee Day?
You know, Austin, being a refugee is not easy. No one will choose to become a refugee. The people who become refugees are those who are forced to flee their country. Okay. And they leave behind their country, their friends, their homes, their jobs, their dreams, and their dignity. So when they come to a country for asylum, they try to rebuild their lives, and they are resilient people. So we need to celebrate that resilience. Okay. World Refugee Day is a very important day for us because it gives us the opportunity to honor these refugees, to raise awareness about their situation, for people to have compassion for them, understanding about their plight, and give them due respect. Okay. So it's a very, very important event for UNHCR and, of course, for the refugees.
So Tanzania is commemorating today, the World Refugee Day. What are some of the plans? What is it that we're planning to do today? What is it that we're going to see? And probably the theme for this year?
The theme for this year is important, is key.
Okay.
It is whoever, wherever, whenever, everyone has the right to seek asylum. This is key, this is critical, because it's not always easy for refugees to have access to asylum system. In some countries, when they get at the border, they are deported, they are refueled, they are not able to get heard. And this is why we want to focus this year on this very important and critical situation. At the same time, what are we going to do today? You know, refugees are human beings. They have skills. They have talent. And what we want to do is to showcase about what they can do. and we will be bringing a number of them together with the host communities to show you the performance, to show you what they are able of doing. And I'm sure the public will be amazed.
All right. Perception of many people, and I'm sure this is why you also are bringing the host community, but you know, many people, when you speak of refugees, the perception is they're in the camps, you know, enclosed in some camps, fences, security, electric fences, and all that, you know. How would you describe the relationship between the camps or the refugee camps and the host communities?
It's actually good. It's actually good. You know, recently we closed Mitandeli camp. Because we had a few refugees who repatriated, and we decided to relocate the residual caseload to another camp called Nduta camp. And when the refugees left Mitandeli camp, I went there for a handover of assets. We handed over classrooms, maternity wards, hospitals, schools, computers, generators, water pumps to the district and for the use of the host community. Because we know that the host and the refugees live together. You know very well that when there is an emergency, UNHCR and the central government are not the first to be on the scene. Those who give the first assistance are the receiving district and the host. So we cannot today achieve meaningful protection for refugees without thinking about the host. So everything we do benefit the host populations. We do all this to make sure that there is peaceful coexistence between the two communities. And you can see that even our services, our health centers, potable water, livelihood, vocational training activities, all benefit the hosts. Today, UNHCR want to engage even more with the host communities to say Asante Sana to these people who have little but want to share that little they have with the refugees.
You've closed one of the camps.
Yes.
In Tendeli.
Yes.
What are the numbers that we currently have of refugees in Tanzania and probably their nationalities?
Yeah. Today we have about 250,000 refugees in Tanzania. The main nationalities are Congolese from the DRC and the Burundians. But we have 19 different nationalities. We have refugees from Syria, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Uganda, Kenya, Yemen, Ethiopia, Eritrea, just name it. This is amazing to see so much diversity in the country. Now, out of this 250,000, 85% live in the camps. And these camps are in the Kigoma region. In Nyarugusu, for example, we have 130,000 refugees. In Duta camp, we have 77,000. In Kigoma itself, we have 21,000. And in Dar es Salaam, only 200 refugees.
All right. And all these under the protection and care of UNHCR?
I will tell you one thing. The primary responsible to deliver protection to refugees is the state of Tanzania. UNHCR comes to support the state. So we do it in partnership. We work together. It's not only UNHCR, we do it with the country.
The government, through the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Yes.
You said you were in Uganda as an operation, and this happens to be the biggest. I always thought probably Kenya, the border of Kenya and Sudan and Somali, those had the biggest number. How is it that Uganda has, probably from your experience while there, and mostly are this from Congo? And also to understand, in connection to this question, you've mentioned all these nationalities. You've mentioned Pakistan. So I'm thinking a refugee fleeing all the way from Pakistan to Tanzania.
Yes.
You know, all the countries in between. I was lucky 2 months ago I was in Pakistan, and we had we flew to Qatar and then from Doha to Pakistan. So I'm thinking, you know, that distance. How do they flee that distance to become refugees in Tanzania?
I will first answer the first question. In Uganda, we have a lot of refugees from South Sudan.
South Sudan?
South Sudan.
Okay.
We have a lot of refugees from South Sudan. We have also a lot of refugees from Congo. And they continue to come. As we speak, we have an influx of Congolese into Uganda.
As we speak?
As we speak.
Okay.
And we have also refugees from many other countries, like the same countries we have here, but even more. Somalis, Ethiopians are so many refugees. Rwandese are so many refugees. That's the reason why we reach 1.5 refugees in Uganda. And there is an open door policy which also facilitates the hosting of refugees in Uganda.
Wow. That's big. Recently I was talking to, you know, when we had the International Peacekeepers Day, I was privileged to have had interviews with one colonel and one lieutenant colonel. And one of the questions that I asked them, and it's the same question that I've always been asking myself, is, you know, when people flee, before they're given the status of refugee, you know, there's always a trigger.
Yeah.
We could be seeing that coming, or, you know, something. Before you see fire, there's probably smoke. And similar question that I would really wish to understand. You know, you would hear before for instance, the recent issues, the war between Ukraine and Russia. Before it actually went physical, you know, the words, you know, threats and everything. At what point should bodies such as UNHCR at a global level intervene so that, you know, they don't result into conflicts and war that would force people to flee their countries?
You're talking about prevention.
Prevention.
You know, UNHCR is not supposed to be involved in politics.
Okay.
So I will not talk on behalf of UNHCR for this, but just giving you advice and sharing my own viewpoint. Recently, there was a very important meeting of the AU in Malabo, where they discussed about prevention. And this is important because we don't wait for situations to become catastrophic before we act. And so very often, states meet, discuss about these situations, and try to do some mediation. Like we can see now in West Africa, we have situations in Mali where they are trying really to help and try to find a common ground so that the situation does not escalate. And in some cases, it works. It works. In some other cases, it does not. But what is happening more and more is that I can see in the case of Africa that the African Union is doing more than before to prevent this kind of situation to escalate to conflict.
Okay, you've answered me very well. It's not the mandate of UNHCR.
Yes.
But you know, when the UN bodies sit, UNHCR included,
yes.
Probably it's then the work of UN peacekeeping, or it could be. But do you advise? Do you discuss?
Yeah, we can send a lot.
Okay.
Because we have sometimes this privilege, if I can call it that way, to receive refugees when they come, and to receive the information, to know what is happening on the other side, why these people had to flee, what is triggering the flight. So we know, and we can share this information so that people know in advance how to plan their response. back home.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is very, very important. It's very key to know what is happening at the early stage of the flight.
Let's come back to Tanzania.
Yes.
To Tanzania and look onto what is transpiring today here in Tanzania, the World Refugee Day. What is the key message? You know, we have the theme, but what is it that you want to, you know, you want the Tanzanians to know of the World Refugee Day?
Before I go there, I want to answer the other question that we ask. You say, how come we have Pakistanis coming from
all corners of the world.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, for me, a bridge with the theme of the World Refugee Day. Whoever, wherever, whenever. You can be a Pakistani, whoever, wherever you can come to Tanzania. Whenever,
anytime.
When you can. When you have the road open for you to come, then you go. Everyone has the right to seek asylum. I think this answers your question.
It does. I'm just thinking, you know, if God forbid, but if something happens in Tanzania, you know, the next country you want to run to is Kenya, for instance.
It's Kenya,
Yes.
It's true. But some people may have the means to travel.
Okay.
Because maybe they have family members, maybe they have opportunities in this country, and they will fly, they will go to this country and seek asylum.
Okay.
And if they can express themselves and make it clear on the reasons why they are persecuted, normally they should be given the chance to be recognized as refugees.
Okay. Just to understand, and then we'll go back to my previous question, just to understand, and probably my viewers will be keen as well, you know, you don't just run into a country and seek safety, asylum, or you want to become a refugee. There's a process. Do you want to a little bit highlight or shed light to that process? How does one become a refugee? Although I know the first factor is there has to be a factor that made you flee, security and all that.
Yes.
So when you arrive in that country of asylum, safety, what are the processes?
There are many ways. So when there is a situation of emergency, whereby we know there is war, like in Ukraine, for example, everyone knows what is happening. This is what we call prima facie recognition. Then refugees don't need to go through a system where they will be interviewed. They will be heard to have a file, to know what happened, but it's not per se a kind of interview to be granted refugee status, because we call it a prima facie recognition, because everyone knows what is happening. There is the case whereby I, in my country, have some issues with my country, with my government, because of my political activities. In this case, when I run to another country, I will have to follow the rules.
Okay.
Then, in a country like Tanzania, we have the Refugee Service Department, where you have to go and register. They will give you a document as you are an asylum seeker, so that you can, you know, at least move in the country and have a legal document. And then you will be programmed for a refugee status determination interview, where you will go, you will meet with the committee, and you will explain yourself. They will now decide if they can grant you refugee status or not.
Okay.
The third case is when your situation is still at risk, but for some reason, the refugee status determination, the national committee does not give you the status. Then UNHCR can exercise its own privilege, its own prerogative. In that case, they can interview you, but before interviewing you, they will first inform the government that this case might be of interest to UNHCR according to our mandate, according to the Constitution, not Constitution, the Convention.
Convention.
And then you will be given the chance to come to UNHCR, sit with UNHCR protection officers, and go through the interview. When you are granted this refugee mandate, then this is something completely different from a convention recognition and a mandate recognition. The mandate recognition is when UNHCR recognize you under its mandate. The convention recognition is when the government, through the committee, will give you that refugee status.
Okay, and in terms of the safety, the protection, the way that they're looked upon, are they different?
It is different because in general, the country will ask UNHCR to help that person leave the country as soon as possible.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then at that situation, what do you do? Do you post them to another country?
Then we have to go for durable solutions.
Durable solution.
And as you know, we have 3 durable solutions. And the first one, linked to this one, is resettlement. And to explain to you what is resettlement, imagine we have 3 countries. The country of asylum, where the refugee has the refugee status.
Okay.
The country of origin, where he's coming from.
Okay.
And the third country is now the country of resettlement. These countries can be European countries, Canada, the US, Australia, and they are ready to take refugees based on certain criteria. But refugees, if they fulfill this criteria, can travel to these countries. So in this case, that person will be resettled.
Okay. We are celebrating that resilience in the REP's word. And with me in the studio is the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee, representative here in Tanzania, Mahoua Parums. And we're looking on to today. How is Tanzania positioned, not only as the host for refugees, but as we commemorate the World Refugee Day? And back again to my previous question, today, Tanzania, what is it? We did mention a little bit earlier on, and in terms of they're humans, they have talents, they have skills, but what is it that Tanzania should expect actually to see, hear, observe, support?
Refugees are human beings, as I said, like you and me, Austin.
Yes.
They have their dreams. They have their hopes.
Yeah.
They want their children to be happy, like you and me. They want their children to have a better life, like you and me. They want happiness in their life.
Yes.
So they have to be treated like human beings. Through this event, what I want, first of all, is to say thank you to the people and the government of Tanzania for their generosity, for opening their doors to receive refugees. It is very important, very key. And we, UNHCR, are very grateful for this. But I want to go beyond.
Okay.
I want to advocate for the government to maintain the open door policy, to maintain the space for asylum, so that refugees who get at their doorstep can enter and can present the case. I want this space to be maintained. This asylum space is key, is critical. To the host, I just want to say thank you. Because as I said before, they share the little they have with the refugees. To the journalists, the media, I want to say thank you too for receiving me here, for giving me the space to talk about my passion for the refugees, for creating this visibility.
Yes.
And allowing people, general public, to know about the refugee issue, to raise awareness, for people to know that refugees are fighting for their lives and they need to be supported. To the donors, I want to tell them that we need support. We need financial support because otherwise, all the dreams we have, all the projects we have for the refugees, for them to have a better life, will never happen if we don't have that funding. To the UN, to the development partners, to the humanitarian partners, to my own team, I can just say that bravo for everything that we are doing, because we stand with the refugees, and we do it with our hearts, because it is a very important commitment. Why? Why is it a commitment? It's a commitment because we have to share the responsibility. It is a collective responsibility. It is a burden that we need to share because not only one entity can do it. If we want to be successful, we have to be united. We have to act together on the same page, have the same message, have the same compassion, and have the same understanding. I think this is important for the refugees because they want our support. They cannot do anything without us. Can you imagine you today leaving your work, leaving your family, and all of a sudden finding yourself in a refugee camp? How will you succeed if you are alone? So I want to take this chance to call upon everybody so that together we can help the refugees to change their life. Because we are all here to serve them. They need us.
Wow, that's a very powerful message. That's a very powerful message, Rep. Just so you've mentioned, and I would really wish to understand or grasp, in fleeing situation, most victims are women and children,
Yes.
and I stand to be corrected
Yes.
if it's otherwise.
Yes.
Looking on to not probably into the very nitty-gritties of details in terms of how many women and children we have in the camps, but how are they looked upon? Are they looked upon differently than men and youth, women and children in particular?
You know, refugee caseloads, there is also a diversity. And each group needs help differently. 82% of the caseload is composed of women and children.
82%?
82%.
Okay.
47 are children. The issue we have with women, gender violence, it exists already in the normal community. So imagine how it can be in a refugee camp, where people have sometimes this trauma or psychological issues, mental illness. So gender violence is there. For the children, we have separated children.
Okay.
During the flight, families get separated. And you get children without their parents.
Okay.
So what we need to do is find foster families for them.
Okay.
And in the meantime, trace the parents and organize family reunification.
Okay.
This is not easy. We also have to think about the schools, education, when you talk about children. Despite the fact that we are working on shifts, that means one group goes to school in the morning, another group in the afternoon.
Okay.
Despite this, we still continue to have 120 students per classroom.
Wow.
The children come with their little stool. Some come with a brick or stones to sit on it. It's heartbreaking. We have some dropouts.
Okay.
We have some early pregnancies.
In the camps.
In the camps. We also have a shortfall in our funding.
Okay.
So that we cannot even sometimes pay for scholastic material.
Okay.
The quality of education is poor because children have to study in French, especially those from Burundi and Congo. And sometimes you don't find quality education teachers.
Okay. Do they also come as refugees, or you?
They come as refugees.
Locally.
We take what we have in the camp.
Okay.
And when we don't have enough, we take those that are educated, but of course they are not teachers, so they don't have the technique of teaching
skills.
This has a very bad impact on the quality of education. The women told me one thing when I had a meeting with them, especially the Burundian women. They told me with the heart, you know, madam, we have children, and sometimes no husband. And there is a land problem in our country. When we want to repatriate, we are scared. Because if we go back, our husbands' relatives will see our children as coming to compete over the land.
Okay.
And they will be in danger. When we want to take them to our own family members, they are poor. And they see our children as competitors on food. So, madam, where do we go? Are we going to sit in the camp all our lives? What is the future for our children? This is the kind of situation that we face every day. And I tell you, it's not easy.
Questions that may not necessarily have simple answers.
It's not a simple answer. It's not.
Those are more programmatic questions because,
and it will take time because you have to go case by case to try to see how you can help them. How can they have access to training? At least not to be idle, sitting at home doing nothing, thinking about their problems. At least to occupy them. And when they are there, thinking about the future of their children, knowing that maybe after primary, the child will go nowhere. They don't have hope.
Okay.
It is difficult.
We've tackled, and I wish to understand, again, probably the Home Affairs would respond to that, but I'm sure you know because you work in collaboration. On the quality of education, and probably you want to respond also, similar question to health, are the camps allowed to source teachers and nurses and doctors from outside the camps?
Yes, they can have, for the medical facilities, we can have doctors from outside the camp because we don't have many on the camp.
Okay.
So this one is no problem. We have doctors out of the camps, and they are very good, actually. They are very committed.
Excellent.
And they do a great job.
Okay.
When it comes to education, it's a little bit more challenging. It's not so easy to find teachers coming from, you know, then they become expatriate. And you have to pay them. And as I said, our funding is very low. It's not always easy. So what we have been doing for the exams, we receive the subject from the country of origin. They come with a representative from the ministries, from the country of origin, then bring the subject, and then they sit, and Nectar will help with the examination.
Okay.
So there is a good collaboration between the countries when it comes to education.
Also, that's really good that you've to hear that you've mentioned Nectar comes
Yes.
to assist. So are they doing Tanzanian curriculum?
No, they are not. They are just coming to ensure that everything is done according to the standards.
Okay.
They don't have the subject because the subject come from the country of origin in French. So they just come to administer the exam, be there, make sure that everything is done in line with the domestic law, the domestic legislation.
Okay. I'm also very pleased to have learned that the doctors are very passionate with the work in the camps.
Yes.
But just to understand as a lesson, and I'm sure my viewers will be keen, when we had severe issues and cases of COVID, how were you able to cope with that? Were there any outbreaks? Were there any?
Yeah, I was not here during that time.
Okay.
I was in Uganda.
Okay.
And of course, it affected a lot our work, because some health workers, even some other partners, stakeholders, were sick, it was like that everywhere. And because of COVID protocols, we could not do certain activities anymore, where we had to have a bit crowded. So it was also affecting our work, because we could not access the refugees as before. Some activities were not done the way we used to do it before. So yeah, it was not good for us. Even when we wanted to sensitize refugees on many things, could be on COVID, but also on gender issues, it was very difficult. So yeah, COVID had a big impact and very negative impact on our operation.
Okay. Just, well, I'm grateful to God I've been blessed with 4 kids, and the little one just turned 1 last week. So I'm very passionate when it comes to children and women, with very high respect, of course, and of course they are the largest number, but also to understand what are some of the things, right, that you do to ensure that, you know, this, especially the young children, do not grow thinking that this is the life. You know, what are some of the activities you do to keep them engaged, happy? You know, it's not easy, as you rightly said, but what are some of the things that I'm personally keen to know? And I'm sure my viewers would also be, you know, those who are, you know, sailing with us on the same boat would be really keen to know. So what is it that you do for children, young girls, to at least perceive that, okay, this is temporary, you know, there's a sunshine at the end of the tunnel, stuff like that. So
we have partners with whom we play with children, because there are places where children can play, where they can meet other children, they can share, they can draw. You know that drawing is a therapy for children.
It is.
So that they try to, you know, sometimes you can see the trend of the drawings. They can start very dark colors, and with time, you see flowers, you see sun, you see that they become a little bit better, you know. So we do this, and we also have plans, project where they sit and people come and tell them stories. We have that. We have places where children can express themselves, where they are given the space. They are given the space to talk. And this has been very, very useful, actually, because we don't want the children to grow with hatred. We don't want the children to grow with, you know, this very narrow way of thinking. We want them to grow with an open mind. And having all these games at their level, having the drawings, having the reading, and storytelling, I think this is very good to build a very nice environment for the kids.
Do they have places as well, in addition, where they go to pray? Do they meet people, pastors, you know, sheikhs to
Yeah,
guide them spiritually?
In the camps they have churches, they have mosques. So they go with their children like anyone does in the normal community. They go with their parents. They learn about how to pray. They learn about you know, their religions, their respective religions, and they grow with this. So at least they have something to hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of probably my very last question, Rep, I'm sure my viewers are thinking probably like me right now, is you had started a program, is it a tailoring program whereby you do both for those interested in the camps but in the host community as well. And I really think for integration, but for, you know, supporting both ends is quite a beautiful program. Do you want probably to speak about that as well?
What we have, as I said before, we think a lot about the host communities. And we have this vocational training program, which is very successful actually.
Excellent.
And the vocational training does not even take place in the camp.
Okay.
It takes place outside the camp, so that it gives the opportunity to the local populations to come. And they are invited to come. They learn about new skills. Okay. And the tailoring is a very popular, I will say, lesson, because many women, many men want to learn about tailoring. And you will see there will be a very nice surprise during the World Refugee Day celebration of this afternoon, that you will see some tailors from the host community, but also from the refugee community. Okay. That will come and showcase. We will have a catwalk. We will see how good they are, how they can show their talent, and get this opportunity to be known, so that tomorrow, who knows, we will be very popular, very well known, and make a living out of it.
Okay. If there's any specific message you want to talk to Tanzania, anything that, you know, as you observe the World Refugee Day today?
I think it's going to be a very important event. We will be receiving very important people. We will receive ministers. The diplomatic community will be there. The donors will also come. The students will come, because we want students to understand what it means to be a refugee, to learn about the refugee law. We will have artists. We will have, of course, the media. So it is going to be a very beautiful mix of people that will be there, that will be gathered to know about refugees. And near all the talent show that we are going to organize, we will also have exhibitions. We will have art craft made by refugee women that they will show, they will display, and some people can buy them, and we will see how talented these women are. We will also have some photos. These photos will show the history of Tanzania receiving refugees from back those years when Rwandese were coming, when we had big camps in Gara, you know, so that will be emotional, I think. People will see that, wow, this country has been a champion. That country did a lot in Africa. That country is a champion. And this is the message I want to give. I want to give the message that we are all together in this. We are all together. And together we can go far. Being a refugee is just, in my hope, is just a transition. No one can remain a refugee. Together, we have to always find a solution. It can be resettlement, it can be local integration, it can be voluntary repatriation. But the refugee life is not supposed to be a lifetime.
Permanent. Absolutely.
It's not a lifetime. It's a transition. And I want to really finish this interview on that powerful message that no one should think that I'm a refugee, I will remain a refugee. No. What we want to give as message is a message of hope, that we should never give up. If we are together, we will reach our objective and we will help these people who need our help. They need our support. And what we call international solidarity should be translated today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to also end with such a powerful message from the rep. Previously what is said and is the theme for the World Refugee Day today, which is whoever, wherever, whenever, everyone has the right to seek safety, everyone has the right to seek asylum, and we today are, commemorating, celebrating, because we have this peace, because it's peaceful in Tanzania. So we really need to work out and make sure that we remain peaceful, but as well embrace the support that is required by the people who've come and are seeking safety in Tanzania. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Once again.
Thank you for receiving me.
I look so much forward to today, the commemoration and observance of the World Refugee Day. And with this, I'm your host, Austin Makani. Thank you for watching the Monday Agenda. Stay tuned.
Watch Capital Television on Zouk Decoder, channel number 067, Digitech Decoder, channel number 1103. Capital Television, your channel of choice.